Newsfirst at 9. Headlines.
A very good evening to you and welcome to Primetime News at 9, coming to you live from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. I'm Stephanie Lazarus and here are your headlines. Another consignment of heroin from Pakistan seized by customs, 36 kilograms of heroin seized. Equal treatment to all is our policy, a statement from President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Women of Bibile take to the streets against toddy taverns. Transportation of hoofed animals banned in the Gampa district. US President Barack Obama urges a diplomatic resolution on the Ukraine crisis. Let's now cross over to our main desk for a more comprehensive look at these stories.
Well, thank you, Stephanie Lazarus. Hello, good evening and welcome to the News at 9. I'm Nadim Majid.
And I'm Sonali Wanigabadage. Well, starting off with your local news, Customs has seized another stock of heroin weighing 36 kilograms, which had been smuggled to Sri Lanka from Pakistan. Customs officials said 3 suspects had been detained. Customs officials added that the stock of heroin was valued at 360 million rupees.
A 40-foot-long cargo container that had been brought to Sri Lanka from Pakistan had been inspected by the Customs Revenue Task Force in Orugodavatta. The stock of heroin had been cunningly concealed within the container, which was supposed to have a cargo building material. The heroin had been hidden inside 2 wooden boxes containing large bolts and screws. Customs officers had conducted a complete sweep of the container by this morning and had uncovered a total of 36 kilograms of heroin. The heroin was of the brown sugar variety with a purity rate of about 50%.
This is the second largest stock of drugs seized by Sri Lankan customs in the recent past. The address was in the name of a Pakistani national. The address was of a hotel that is not in Sri Lanka. We have received information that this individual is currently in Sri Lanka. This had been bought in as a personal baggage.
Personal baggage විදියට.
Customs media spokesperson Leslie Garmini noted that following preliminary investigations, 2 wharf managers and 2 shipping agents have been detained and are being interrogated. Investigations are underway to apprehend the chief suspect. Customs officials added that investigations are also underway to determine if the consignment was brought to Sri Lanka as a transit point or whether it was to be distributed within the country. Customs intelligence had received the support of the recently established Presidential Task Force and the UK's National Criminal Agency to carry out this raid. Customs officials conducted 7 drug-related raids last year, with 5 of them involving heroin. Customs media spokesperson Leslie Garmini added that the heroin is manufactured in the Golden Triangle on the border of Pakistan and Afghanistan and that it is later distributed globally via Pakistan. Furthermore, he noted that officials with training in tackling international drug rackets have been deployed.
Year 2013. 7 major drug-related raids. 5 raids involving heroin. 1 raid involving marijuana. 1 raid involving methamphetamine. Year 2014. 984 grams of heroin concealed in 12 oranges. Today, 36 kilograms of heroin found screwed into bolts. Weight of drugs seized by customs in 2013, 294 kilograms, valued at close to 3 billion rupees. Weight of drugs seized by customs thus far in 2014, 36.984 kilograms, valued at close to 370 million rupees. For your attention.
On a related note, views were expressed on the political stage on the attack on the residences of 2 excise department officers yesterday and the discovery of a large haul of drugs today.
How were drugs brought into the country in the past? They had the drugs concealed in a lead paper and they swallowed about 3 or 4 packets. After leaving the airport, they pass it out with their feces. But today, drugs arrive in cargo containers. Who is controlling your children? It is the Arak merchants. When there is an Arak merchant in the village, people don't even look at his face. But the biggest Arak merchants in the country receive votes and become ministers, and they are even addressed as sir.
People who sell drugs, underworld leaders, ethanol and moonshine merchants, womanizers, drunkards and rapists have become politicians today. To some extent, as the people, we must accept some of the responsibility for this mistake.
Even the
commissioner of the excise department cannot go on the road. They are trying to shoot and kill him. If the sale of moonshine and ethanol was permitted, they would not even think of shooting him. Those contesting the provincial council polls have spent millions on liquor. Are you going to vote for people like this?
The government says that the country is a paradise of development. I am saying the country is the paradise of drugs. Think about it. Where is the law in the country when the officers of the excise department are being shot at? Heroin and drug peddlers are connected to the state administration. When letters are being sent from the Prime Minister's office to release drug consignments, is it a big deal when excise officers who look into the crimes are being shot at?
අගමැතිගේ කාර්යාලයෙන් ලියුම් යනවා නම් කුඩු කන්ටේනර් නිදහස් කරන්න. සුරාබදු ශේෂ්ත්‍රයේ අර හොරකම් හොයන නිලධාරීන්ට වෙඩි තියනවයි කියන එක මහ ලොකු දෙයක්.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says equal treatment for all is the government's policy. He made this statement at an event held in Colombo today.
Permanent appointments were granted to postal service employees in the estates at this event, which was held at the BMICH in Colombo. The presidential media unit said that the appointments were granted to 386 employees of the postal sector.
Gama, Uttura.
We will not allow for the estates, the villages, the north, the south, the east, the village and the city to be treated differently. We are building a society where everyone is treated the same and receive the same benefits. Be it education, health, transport, water or electricity, everyone must receive it equally. This is the policy of our government.
The president also addressed the gathering in Tamil.
No matter what anyone says, we will not falter when serving the people. We do not look at religion, caste or ethnicity. All people are equal. All people should have equal status. Do not be deceived by false propaganda. Do not journey on the wrong path. We are all the children of a single mother. You need not fear as long as I am here.
Minister Mahinda Samarasinghe convened a media briefing in Kaluthara today.
Today, owing to the jealousy and hatred against us in some places, they are trying to suppress us by introducing a resolution calling for an international investigation. This has been done by some foreign forces who want to put our country in trouble and Navanithan Pillai who makes false statements. We are not prepared to betray our war heroes because Navanithan Pillai says so. If anyone has done something wrong, then the army is prepared to take action at any instance. On the instructions of the President, I have gone there in the past as the head of the Sri Lankan delegation, and we have faced these forces with a very clear stance. I am leaving tomorrow, and we will act based on a clear stance.
Sri Lanka's ambassador to the United States, Jalio Wickremesuriya, has thanked the 11 US senators who introduced Senate Resolution 364, recognizing Sri Lanka's success in restoration of democracy, rebuilding and reconciliation after the dawn of peace in 2009.
11 senior members of the United States Senate introduced a bipartisan resolution on the 27th of February expressing support for Sri Lanka's internal reconciliation process and the significant overall progress the country has made since the end of the war. The resolution calls on US President Barack Obama to adopt a balanced and comprehensive policy towards Sri Lanka. In a letter addressed to the senators, Ambassador Jalio Wickremesuriya called the resolution a very positive gesture of goodwill and understanding towards Sri Lanka. He underscored the facts enumerated in the resolution, such as the continued peace in the entire country, restoration of democracy, and the concrete steps taken towards reconciliation that represent the true situation in Sri Lanka. The ambassador is also of the view that adopting such a positive resolution on Sri Lanka by US senators would certainly be seen in Sri Lanka as moral encouragement to continue the process of healing and reconciliation. The Sri Lankan ambassador to the United States also thanked all Sri Lankan Americans who have been tirelessly working to keep their legislators informed about the true story on Sri Lanka.
The National Sangha Council says that the United Nations does not have the right to level allegations of human rights violations at a legitimate government that defeated terrorism. At a media briefing convened in Colombo today, the National Sangha Council clarified their stance.
The United Nations does not have the ability to bring allegations of human rights violations against a government that came into power legitimately and defeated the most dangerous terrorism in the world. We must fearlessly state today that even the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights is also acting in a communalistic fashion with regard to allegations that have been leveled against us. Most of the signatories are persons who used to depend on the terrorists. Even today, they are standing for terrorism. We do not have a strong opposition to take our voice to. If there was a strong opposition, they could have spoken on the good or the ill of this.
The Department of Archaeology claims that the area where several human skeletons were found in Tiruketeshwaram Manor is in fact the location of an old cemetery.
Direct excavations at the Department of Archaeology Namal Kodituaku said that this conclusion had been arrived following an inspection of the site that was conducted by officials including himself. Senior excavations officer at the Department of Archaeology A.A. Vijayaratna also participated in the excavation. Kodituaku added that there was evidence to show that the cemetery was used between 100 and 150 years ago. According to the Department of Archaeology, the cemetery had later been abandoned. He added that they believe it may have been abandoned owing to the construction of a kovil in close proximity. The report of the inspection was submitted to the Manor Magistrate yesterday.
Overseas, US President Barack Obama has urged President Vladimir Putin to seek a diplomatic solution to the crisis in Ukraine in a lengthy telephone conversation. The Russian leader told Obama that ties between their two countries should not suffer because of disagreements over Ukraine.
Now, Russian troops have taken de facto control of Crimea. US President Barack Obama has ordered the freezing of US assets and a ban on travel into the United States of those involved in the Russian military intervention into Ukraine's Crimea region.
Obama signed an executive order aimed at punishing those Russians and Ukrainians responsible for the Russian move into Crimea, which has triggered the worst crisis in US-Russian relations since the end of the Cold War.
Since the Russian intervention, we've been mobilizing the international community to condemn this violation of international law and to support the people and government of Ukraine. This morning, I signed an executive order that authorizes sanctions on individuals and entities responsible for violating the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine or for stealing the assets of the Ukrainian people. According to my guidance, the State Department has also put in place restrictions on the travel of certain individuals and officials. These decisions continue our efforts to impose a cost on Russia and those responsible for the situation in Crimea. And they also give us the flexibility to adjust our response going forward based on Russia's actions.
Crimean residents welcomed the decision to push forward the referendum on the status of their republic, saying they deserve the right to express their will. Crimea's parliament voted to join Russia, and its Moscow-backed government set a referendum within 10 days on the decision in a dramatic escalation of the crisis over the Ukrainian Black Sea Peninsula.
I think referendum will take place as planned. We hope so at least. As you can see, Crimea is the only part of Ukraine where everything is calm, where there are no clashes with police, where nobody takes over administration buildings. I don't want to be a big pessimist, but we don't want another mass grave here.
Yeah, I support the referendum, but I haven't made up my mind regarding what I am going to vote for.
Leading Ukrainian politician Yulia Tymoshenko called for Europe to take strong action over Crimea's attempt to join Russia, warning that otherwise Moscow would move to take over the rest of Ukraine and destabilize the continent. Joining Tymoshenko at a news conference in Ireland, professional boxer turned Ukrainian leading opposition politician Vitaly Klitschko said he was hopeful for the future of his homeland.
Several weeks ago, nobody would have believed that today I would be able to be with you. I didn't know if I would be alive at this time. I have good news for the whole world. In Ukraine, the dictatorship has fallen. If we allow Russia on March 16 to hold a referendum at gunpoint on the annexation of Crimea, we will lose Ukraine. We will lose not only Ukraine, but stability in the whole world.
Але ми втратимо не тільки Україну, ми втратимо ще стабільність в усьому світі.
We are European geographically, historically and mentally also European. Unfortunately, we are far away from European standards of living. Despite all of that, we are hopeful that we want to become a part of Europe. One can hardly imagine that this is happening in Europe. An armed conflict among neighbors can take place. You need your neighbors to support you, not to fight against.
Zum Unterstützung und Rat, aber nicht zum Kampf.
Yesterday, Ukrainian TV channel 1+1 was taken off air in Crimea. A presenter at the channel, Lydia Taran, said that TV reporters at channel 1+1 had been attacked while reporting in Crimea. Pro-Moscow activists tried to storm the Ukraine Security Service building in the eastern Ukrainian city of Donetsk. The protesters were trying to free the city's self-proclaimed pro-Russian governor, Pavel Gubarev, who was arrested on Wednesday by Ukraine's security service. Scuffles broke out between the protesters and police wearing riot gear and holding shields, who managed to disperse the crowds. There were no reports of any arrests.
A group of women staged a protest in Bibila this morning, demanding that toddy taverns in the area be shut down. The protest was organized parallel to International Women's Day, which falls tomorrow.
The women from about 35 Grama Niladaya divisions, including Bibila, Madagama and Aivala, participated in the demonstration held this morning. The protesters marched from the Aivala junction to the Madapiti Viharya, where they met with the chief incumbent of the Viharya and requested that he intervene to shut down toddy taverns in the area.
Every day they come home drunk and trouble the women, the school children and the working youth at home. It is not the same man that left in the morning that returns at night. The woman is being made to live a life of Our children and our husbands have gone astray, and it is the women that have to face the pressure at home. It is the women that are stressed, and it is the women that suffer. Subsequently, a discussion was held between the chief incumbent of the Viharya, the women and the police. Police officers had promised to take an effort to ensure that the women receive justice for their demands.
And on to another one of our headline stories. Steps have been taken to ban the transportation of hoofed animals in the Gampaha district. The Director General of the Department of Animal Products and Health, Professor Kumara De Silva, said that this measure was taken to prevent the spread of foot and mouth disease.
The ministry has also taken steps to halt the transportation of hoofed animals and the selling of meat of these animals in 7 districts, including Ampara, Anuradhapura, Bavunia, Mullaitivu, Jaffna, Putlam and Trincomalee. Director General of the department also said that the disease is rapidly spreading to other districts due to the negligence of certain individuals.
The disease has spread rapidly through the movement of livestock. Therefore, we had to impose a ban in the Gampa district. We prepared the gazette notice and sent it to the publication department today. We asked the public to cooperate in this manner. At the very least, if there are infected animals at your farm, then even you should not travel to another farm or sell infected animals.
Environmentalists say that the limited number of tuskers in Sri Lanka are under threat of disappearing for good. The Sri Lankan tusker has also been listed as an endangered animal in the ICUN's Red Data Book. But who is responsible for the efforts to bring extinction upon this magnificent animal?
This is the tusker from Galegamo, which possesses the rare characteristics of having locked tusks. The wildlife authorities state that the tusker, which has suffered from gunshot wounds in the past as well, was shot at again last week. In October 2011, Newsfirst reported that the tusker was moving from its habitat in Galgamo towards Kakirawa. It was revealed following this incident that the blind tusker would have encroached on the Kakirawa area, as it depends on its sense of smell when foraging for food. Wildlife officials also inspected several gunshot wounds on the animal's body. The tusker's wounds were treated and the animal, which disappeared from the Kakirawa, resurfaced again in Galgamoa. The Wildlife Minister at the time, S.M. Chandrasena, said that the department had launched a special program to ensure the safety of this unique and valuable animal. However, this animal is in critical condition at present after sustaining gunshot wounds on its leg. When inquiries were made, the Director General of Wildlife, H.D. Ratnayaka, said that the animal was treated over the past several days and that they are watching its condition.
I believe if the animal is not treated swiftly, its life will be at risk. We had informed the Wildlife Authority not once but twice. They visited the place once or twice, but no measures were taken beyond that. The animal is surviving on dry corn and water. The animal is helpless. It poses no threat to those who are close to it. Even if fallen, it will be ignored.
3 weeks ago, an elephant calf from the herd of the Madru Oya was shot and killed near the Pimburataba reservoir. One of the calf's tusks was removed last week and the second was removed this week. Environmentalists warned that precautionary measures should be taken before similar tragedy befalls the tusker of Galgamoa.
Less than 10% of the main elephant population of Sri Lanka grows tusks. It is extremely rare to see tuskers with interlocking tusks. Thereby, at an instance like this, when the animal has been shot, we must take every effort to treat it and prevent it from becoming critical.
The Pathfinder Foundation has signed a memorandum of intent with the Vivekananda International Foundation in New Delhi to work towards enhancing relations between Sri Lanka and India. The MOI was signed by the director of the Vivekananda International Foundation, Ajit Doval, and the chairman of the Pathfinder Foundation, Bernard Gunathilaka.
The memorandum of intent was reached as a result of the meeting held between the founder of the Pathfinder Foundation, Milinda Moragoda, and the director of the Vivekananda International Foundation, Ajit Doval. According to the MOI, the two foundations will work towards enhancing economic relations between the two countries, deepening civilization links, including the exploration of the possibility of promoting mutually beneficial cooperation. The two foundations will also issue joint statements which will seek to improve understanding of key bilateral issues and raise public awareness of the possibilities for win-win outcomes. Recently, the founder of the Pathfinder Foundation, Milinda Moragoda, addressed an investment forum, Vibrant Gujarat, in the Indian state of the Gujarat following an invitation extended by the Chief Minister Narendra Modi. Narendra Modi is the Prime Ministerial candidate of the BJP at the upcoming elections in India.
Your words of praise. Democratic Party Colombo District candidate Susil Kindel Pittiya met with former President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga this morning.
Susil Kindel Pittiya met with the former president at her residence on Independence Avenue in Colombo.
මගේ පක්ෂ හොඳට අවංකව රට පාලනය කරන්න පුළුවන් රට පාලනය සම්බන්ධ වෙන්න පුළුවන් කියලා හිතලා මම උදව්. මොකද කවදා හරි මේ තත්ත්වයෙන් රට ගොඩ ගන්න මේ වැදගත් සියලු දෙනාම ඒක රාශී වෙලා බලවේගයක් ගොඩ ගන්න ඕනි කියන එකයි මගේ විශ්වාසය. ඒ නිසා එහෙම කරන්න පුළුවන් ඕනෙම පක්ෂයක ඕනෙ කෙනෙක්ම සාධාරණයි. ඒ අනුව ඔබතුමාට මගේ සම්පූර්ණ සහයෝගය තියෙනවා.
The Democratic Party charges that they were denied the use of a location that had been reserved previously for a public rally in Tangol. The party notes that this is the 7th such disruption they have been faced with. The party had opted to use the residence of the party's Hambantota district group leader as an alternative location for their meeting.
Although we did not get permission to hold the meeting, we were told that the location was reserved, but that the police had said no because the Three-Wheeler Drivers Association was to meet at the three-wheeler park and that there may be a clash between the two groups. When I was coming here, I saw three-wheelers parked in the town. Everyone in those three-wheelers waved at us, while some wished us victory. We say that the people must have the right. Politicians do not have the right to treat the people they govern like slaves. If politicians hope to do this, then those politicians are fools. They are not politicians. We will never allow for the deprivation of the people's rights because of their threats.
Now, the Democratic Party alleges that they face similar disruptions in Balapitiya, Pugoda, Gatamanna, Hungama, Katuwana and Veerakatiya. Election Monitor Cafe, or the Campaign for Free and Fair Elections, says that such incidents violate the basic expectations of holding an election.
If a political party cannot conduct its activities freely, and if they cannot take their views to the people, then they cannot rally people around the political ideology of their group. If a political party is denied the ability to take their ideas to the people and rally the people, then the basic foundation of an election, which is political freedom, is being blocked. Through this, the basic expectations of representative democracy and elections are violated.
Deputy Minister of Health Lalit Dissanayake directed the attention of the Speaker to the absence of several MPs during the oral questions session in Parliament today.
විපක්ෂය හරිම උදාසීනයි. කවුරුත් නැහැ ප්‍රශ්න අහනවා අපෙන් අපරාධ මේ මහන්සිලා. අනිත් පැත්තත් එහෙම තමයි. දෙපැත්තම එක වගේ. දෙපැත්තම එක වගේ.
Parliamentarians against corruption convened a special meeting at the parliamentary complex today.
There is a global organization of parliamentarians against corruption. It's called GOPAC. However, our parliamentary caucus is not that active. Therefore, we decided to invite the MPs from the government and opposition to this caucus that will be chaired by Minister Rauf Hakim and J. Sriwanga as the secretary and stand against corruption. We convened the meeting today. During the next parliamentary session, we will take forward a task from the caucus. As parliamentarians, we have a responsibility to work with other parliamentarians in the world and minimize corruption in the country. We will hold a meeting in the future and look into ways of addressing this problem.
UNP Colombo district candidate S.M. Marika participated in a public rally held on Peel Avenue in Kohuala yesterday.
This is an era where politicians who lie and do wrong are gradually being removed from politics in Sri Lanka. If you think I am lying, you will be able to see how most of the candidates that will win on the 20th of March will be young candidates. They cannot understand who is good and who is bad. Therefore, they are removing people who have been in politics for a while and have sullied their names. Society is gradually being encouraged to bring a new group into politics.
UNP Western Provincial Council candidate Jayantha De Silva officially launched his election campaign today.
Jayantha De Silva, accompanied by a group of campaigners, commenced his election campaign in Borala. Following religious observances, Jayantha De Silva and his campaigners distributed leaflets among the public outlining his future program. De Silva also donated sets of school books to children in the area, following which he addressed the media. The government is not rendering any assistance towards the education of these children today. All the government does now is hold car races and take the hard-earned money of the people. The sons of some of the ministers or leaders in the government wear slippers that are valued at 150,000 rupees. The people will not be served under such a government. We are assisting in the future of these children and in their future for the sake of the public service.
Newsfirst U reporters Nadeshwaram Purushottam from Kalawanchikudi and Sathasivam Gajan from Kalmune filed these reports on 2 accidents that had taken place in the Batiklo district today.
An accident occurred on the Kaludawala main road near the Kalawanchikudi police this morning. The accident occurred when a van travelling from Kalmune veered off the road near the Kaludawala Central College. The driver of the vehicle, who sustained injuries, was admitted to the Kalawanchikudi hospital. An accident occurred on the Kalmune Pandirupu main road at about 5 last evening. The accident occurred when a pedestrian was struck by a motorcycle while crossing the road. The pedestrian, who sustained injuries, was admitted to the Kalmune hospital.
Meanwhile, one of our regular contributors, U reporter Upul Mahesh from Ampegama, filed this report on a dilapidated bridge in Kokarakanda at Kandura.
What you can see is the bridge connecting to the Thanabadde Gama Kokarakanda village. All the wooden planks and the protective railings have been destroyed. Several people, including a schoolboy, have met with accidents on this dilapidated bridge. Residents request that this be renovated to prevent further incidents.
And now let's have a look at the inter-school cricketer encounters on Big Match Fever. The Battle of the Saints between St. Peter's College Colombo and St. Joseph's College Colombo commenced today at the Pisara Oval in Colombo. Batting first, St. Peter's College posted 282 runs all out, with Chandula Jayamanna top scoring with 116 runs. In reply, St. Joseph's College won 92 runs for the loss of 2 wickets at stumps today. The big match encounter between Hindu College Bambalapitiya and Hindu College Manikpai commenced today in Bambalapitiya. Batting first, the lads from Colombo posted 328 runs for the loss of 9 wickets at stumps today. Now the big match encounter between St. Sebastian's College and Prince of Wales Moratuwa also commenced today. St. Sebastian's posted 220 runs today. Batting in response, Prince of Wales won 156 for 3 at stumps.
Well, on that note, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. I'm Sonali Vanikabadage.
And I'm Nadim Majid. As always, it's been a pleasure having you with us. Good night and good night.
Hotline 0114-896-896. www.newsfirst.lk. Feedback at newsfirst.lk.